So as the 7th volume of RWBY was airing, I actually managed to somewhat stay up to date for the most part, because you know what, apparently I fucking hate myself. Although luckily for me, or maybe not luckily for me considering I hate myself apparently, it was actually a much better season than most of the previous ones after Season 3. Then apparently I got lucky in the end because it decided to cock itself off a pit of stupidity, so my self-hatred was clearly gratified by this whole experience. And then this confused mess of being gratification to my self-hatred, while at the same time just being fucking boring, ended up making me put off making this video for so long that went from just barely being relevant when I started scripting it to really not being relevant anymore now that I'm actually recording it. But who fucking cares, I'm doing this for myself anyway. It's like, why would I even watch this when I could spend the same time watching other stuff airing right now, like the news, or interspacious reviewers? And those things are actually way more fun and interesting. And the characters are less stupid. And the plot makes more sense. And the world is more enjoyable. So an interesting thing about interesting characters is that they can do the exact same shit as bad characters yet still be good. Why? Because they can be done to make sense. Take a character doing something monumentally stupid, like purposely boarding a relatively small boat with someone he hates that will force him to see his face every goddamn day. Stupid, right? Yeah, it is. But it was fucking awesome when Thorfinn did it in Vinland Saga, because Vinland Saga actually knows how to make character decisions make goddamn sense, even when they overall shouldn't. This is more than effect and cause relationship, there is an emotional turmoil in between. So what I'm saying is that the characters don't make much sense. Even when they're doing things that should make sense, it comes across as stupid. Because that's what this season went for. Where you have the character split so simply into being moral Jesuses and being just plain fucking wrong, it becomes like watching Game of Thrones. Not the good seasons, the bad ones. Like watching Winterfell vs. Zombies. But with worse action sometimes. And still the annoying plot points because show, I guess. A show like this should know what it takes to write a good character, because they fucking wrote how goddamn to do it! In their 4th video on RWBY, the yellow trailer, back when this show was so fucking good that I was rewatching it every fucking day because I have no life apparently, they say that scathing eyes ask that we be symmetrical, one-sided, and easily processed, yet every mishap and spark's unseen beauty is greater than the would-be judgment. This is a fucking blueprint for writing good characters, keeping them unsymmetrical and multifaceted. It's like Merriman from Hunter x Hunter. He's a great villain because he's so likable and interesting, where there is humanity to him that draws you in and contrasts with the intensifying darkness of the main character. Whereas here, all of Team RWBY just becomes a bunch of moral Jesuses. It's like saying here, we know how to make a good character, but CBF, I'm gonna write something easy and lame instead. The problem with this season was how it insisted on being about the characters being moral heroes doing the right thing, when their own story shows that ain't that simple thing to find. It presents the team as being such good guys, and James and his ace core going bad, when really, anyone with a brain can see it's so much more interesting than that. Imagine watching Death Note. But instead of having the interesting morality of philosophies, it's just saying, oh yeah, this character is good. And then you have the writing, which seems to be like trying to impress people with how cool it is, when it's actually just as smart as sticking your face in poison ivy than saying, hey, you shouldn't be hurting me, poison ivy. Why are you doing that? When the plot contrives itself to make RWBY fight Ace Corps, they make this really, really fucking stupid line where they say that, oh yeah, you were the best until you trained us. This is like getting a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, making him lose to a brown belt, then having the brown belt train the blue belt for a few weeks, and then have the blue belt win. Nah fam, there's fucking levels to the game, and those kids should not fucking know them yet. They weren't just a tiny bit behind that a couple of weeks of training could help them. I don't care if you tell me it was a couple of months of training. Experience is such a big fucking thing in combat, and they shouldn't have had enough. It was such a contrived, stupid way to have free choice versus order, when that was already being accepted by the same fucking production company with Washington and Locust in the Chorus trilogy of Red vs. Blue. That was better because it actually made sense to reject those orders. Here, the orders were literally for the greater good. Even if you say it was wrong, and it wouldn't have served the greater good, it doesn't actually fucking matter, because that's where the motives are coming from. Maybe if they sat down, had some tea, everything could have been worked out. But no, the supposed moral characters were so fucking quick to fight, and actually actually outright refused to even see James' perspective. This is not how to be a good and considerate person, but how to look like you're trying to be one when actually really you're being a fucking dick, which is basically, the doctrine of what PC culture is all about nowadays. Now, imagine for a second how cool it could have been if one of the Ace Corps sided with RWBY, or maybe even vice versa. You could have given an actual logical reason for them winning, and shown just how complex choosing sides could have been. It's why all the characters, even the interesting ones, weren't interesting this season. They came really close with the dog finest guy from the Ace Corps who looked like he might have sided with RWBY, but they really didn't take that anywhere. They could have made him side with the other side, they could have made him show more objection, but they really did not go far. But he did come close. Where they did do it was with James Gordon. I mean, fucking James Ironwood, who I keep clearly calling Gordon because goddamn fucking Batman, how if I know? Here you have a guy who is clearly acting for what he sees as the greater good, doing what he thinks will help the most amount of people. People said in comments how he was really good character until he declared martial law. Nah fam, he became better because of that. He was willing to stake everything on his moral compass. He chose to save the people he could instead of risking everybody to try to save more. Like it or not, it is a choice. The message this show seems to be trying to say is that you couldn't risk a single life to save thousands. Now fine, that's a philosophy I understand and I can't even get behind. But don't present it as if it's not choosing anyone's life over another. They are choosing someone's lives over other lives. Because by trying to stop James from saving the people of Atlas, they were choosing to put everyone's lives on the line together. It's like seeing someone at a gambling hall who has 100 chips and they only put in 30. Then someone comes up and says, hey, you should put them all in, and then proceeds to push the guy's chips onto the table. Sure, maybe he'll be walking away rich, or with absolutely nothing. I'm not saying it's not a good choice in context, but it is a choice. They chose to risk everybody's lives together instead of letting the rest of the world survive. Maybe forever, maybe a few days. It doesn't matter, because the story acted like it was an objective truth, like something that was objectively better, which it isn't. It's philosophy, which is complicated. They simplified it and turned it into one-dimensional garbage. Now, of course, there was still the dumbest part of this season yet to come, and oh my god, I'm just fucking annoying. Just trying to fucking think about this one. Oh my god, it's so fucking aggravating. Alright, now if we were to make a scale of how good the death scene can be, with 1 being the 3rd episode of Castlevania, which I'll rewatch the pre-stats on YouTube because it is so fucking amazing. And then on the complete other side, we put Chelsea from Akame ga Kill, which is so annoying it still pisses me off years later just thinking about it. This is so much worse. Oh my god, it was so bad. It was contrived to the point where a twisted forest with branches so intertwined you can't see the sun, even when the leaves were still all dead. That would be less convoluted than this. But nah fam, let's get 2 characters get along and are mostly logical, then get one to team up with a crazy fucking psycho that it took both of them plus more to stop, for reasons that make no goddamn sense. Qrow teaming up with Tyrion is beyond stupid. It actively makes the character lose 300 IQ points to progress the plot. It's like making a character who's allergic to the ocean live on a boat in the middle of the Pacific. Because the best case here is that Tyrion gets away, and the worst case is actually worse than what happened. There was no good option aside from Clover actually winning. It's like Rooster Teeth forgot that there are different kinds of fights. Like they forgot that your motivation for entering a fight changes how you act in the fight. Like when you want to get away, how you run away. That he could have left Clover to Tyrion and hoped for the best while he dipped. Instead, he attacked him. Which would do what exactly? Obviously he was gonna die there. The only question was whether Tyrion would also kill Qrow. It's like they forgot how they took an amazing fight at the end of the 3rd season of Red vs. Blue of Washington and Carolina vs. Locust at Phillies and said, fuck it, let's forget logic. One party wants to stall and defend, the other break through, so they fight differently. But here, nah fam, might as well have put them in a cage match together. Expecting this fight to have any other outcome is like to see a fight between these 2 guys, one of who is a drunk Irish and the other who fought a fucking bear as a kid, and saying, yeah, the drunk will probably win. The only difference is that McGregor actually could have landed a fucking lucky shot, whereas Qrow would have had to luck out by having a meteor fall on Terry to knock out Clover to have been successful. And if McGregor didn't luck out against a fairly normal human, all things considered, then I guess Qrow, who literally has bad luck as a superpower, is not going to get that levels of luckiness. It is infuriating, maddening, and I can't even say whether the fight choreography was any good, because unless it existed within a vacuum, the situation was far too monumentally stupid for me to even try to appreciate what the fight choreography was like, because I'm too busy trying to understand how anything so goddamn stupid could take place. So let's say any other point they did well. Winter, for the most part, was a good character. She did express the complexities in choosing sides, where although she was Team Ironwood, she could see RWBY's perspective and could not 100% go either way, which is good, because guess fucking what? People are complicated. Morals are complicated, which honestly is everything this show forgot with just about every other character. Her being the only person allowed to say the Winter Maiden was a show of being clever to get you what you want, while being willing to sacrifice the freedom of someone's life to get it, while still being too moral, relatively speaking, to kill a, relatively speaking, innocent person. Complexity. Good. This isn't ABC child shows. Hell, after season 3 they literally said, hey kids, you might want to put this show on hold till you're older. So they aren't their audience. I don't understand why so many people shy away from accepting how complex morality can be. People act like it's good and evil, one side must be bad. Talk to any university student who likes talking about politics and you will see this in fucking spades. It's like they can't fathom a possibility that the left is not a group of heroes and the right is a group of villains, when in reality, guess what? They both fucking suck. They both have good points, and they both have an overabundance of bad points, because that's politics, that's philosophy, and that's morality, and that is how fucking people work. Pretending this doesn't exist doesn't make your story better. It makes it appeal to an audience wanting a more simple show. And I get it. I like my simple shows, where good is good and bad is bad. They can be fun. Demon Slayer was like this, and it was good. But you know what Demon Slayer had? Aside from way better animation, better writing, more enjoyable characters, better hype moments, and one of the greatest fights in a long while? Logical fucking decision making. The characters made sense for what they wanted, but here they had twisted their own necks to not make sense. Backtracking a little, it was pretty obvious Winter would not be the Winter Maiden, but who did was actually pretty cool. I didn't see it coming, and it did make sense. And the scene had heart because it showed that Penny had a soul, truly and really, and this just paves the way for civil rights protests for our toasters, but let's not jump there just yet. We're not quite at Fallout 4 levels. When she came back, it was a heartfelt and emotional, but that wasn't really because the scene did anything to do so, but mostly because it showed that she came back. The moment really was here. She's still alive. No, whatever, I liked it, so I won't complain. She was the third best character of this season, because like Winter and James, she expressed that choosing sides is not that fucking easy. So I've kind of skipped over the soundtrack, and well, what can I say? It was good. It always is. Jeff did a great job composing, Casey did a bang-up job on vocals, and yet none of the tracks remained in my memory. They haven't really since Volume 4, but I think that's more of a me thing, so I'm not really complaining. It was a RWBY soundtrack, so it was good. Even when the show is amazing, the soundtrack is the best part. That's always been the case. It probably always will be the case. So now, let's talk about one last thing before wrapping this up. Maria Hill. Why is she what she is? Come on, she was a terrible character for all but like 2 episodes. First, she's the politician who cares for the people trope. Then, she ends up the same way at the end. There was a part in the middle where she was interesting, where she expressed and understood that politician jobs aren't as easy as save everyone or save yourself. She understood that hard position James was in. But it just went downhill. Team RWBY had it bad because they're the main characters. But she's in a position where she needs to deal with this stuff, and she doesn't. I honestly hated her. Hated her character. Hated just about everything about her because she was garbage. She was a Saturday morning cartoon model figure. Not someone for a story that I'm sure at some point promised maturity. They tried to make her such a people's choice for the people candidate. They forgot she needed to have some fucking depth as a character, and she became utterly bland. She was like that taste you get eating a Ritz cracker when you don't pair it with anything like cheese or olives or whatever, and you half the taste of the Ritz cracker. Maybe she was a rice cracker. That's it. She was like eating plain boiled rice with nothing else. If I can afford to put something in that rice, I am putting something in that rice. But no, don't have any meat and potatoes, no sauce, no nothing, just plain rice. Sure, there is one piece of that stuff in the middle, but then you have to go through the rest of the rice without any fucking taste again. Don't make me eat this stuff. I'd rather have plain toast, maybe with some margarine on it. So that's it. We're done. Not because there's nothing else to talk about, but because this script is already getting fucking long and we're already way too delayed for this video to actually be relevant to anyone, and I really want to move on with my day. Also, my mouth is starting to hurt. I didn't expect that when I was writing the script, and also I think I've hit all the main points. James is good, nearly everything else is shit. Like, I just remembered I have never even mentioned Droxney because whatever, oh my god, the TLDR for him is that he is a villain. So he does villain stuff. Not like murder villain, but like domestic abuse, racism, and employee abuse. Like, I am not trying to defend that, but it was just so one-dimensional and so bland. It makes Hill look like that rice was paired with some fucking beef and black bean sauce. Please, RWBY, I loved you so much. And you finally started picking yourself up again. But don't keep going on like this, or I will actually fucking drop you. You're becoming the thing I hate most from these kinds of stories. Black and white. Gray is a very important color. Don't forget it. Some might say there are 50 shades you have forgotten. But that would be wrong. There are millions. Remember the grays. Remember the motherfucking grays.